We are going to get started with our post-race media availabilities for today's Food City 500 here at Bristol Motor Speedway with the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. We are joined by our second place finisher, Clint Bowyer, the driver of the number 14 Haas Automation Demo Days Ford. This is Clint's 11th top 10 finish in 23 races here at Bristol, and your fourth so far this year. Clint, pretty good run out there. Why don't you talk about it for us?
Yeah, what a day. You know, starting off, I was way too loose and fell way back. Just missed it. Fell, last car in the lead lap. Mike made some great adjustments all day long. The pit crew was on their game all day long and gained spots almost every time. And then I lost them all back on pit road speeding. Went to the back again, and then drove back up through them and got ourselves in position there. Mike made a good call of putting me in a position of one of the first cars on four tires there. I think 48 was the other one, and he won the race. So the right strategy was there. The team effort was there. That's what a weekend's all about. It's just, it's been this long since I've won. Racing here is pretty special. It'd have been pretty cool to be over there in victory lane.
All right, we'll open up to questions. We'll start up front with Joe.
I guess me. Zach Catan's already front stretch. Describe the mindset when you get into second place. You got Jimmie about a second in front of you.
Sucks.
Yeah, does it ratchet up? Does it get more intense for you?
It does, and then you're watching your lap times and you're adjusting everything you can possibly adjust, from a track bar adjustment to your adjusting your line on the racetrack, just trying every little thing you can possibly do. And, it was like I could gain on him one lap and then he'd, gain on me the next, and then it just kind of fell by the wayside. Kind of realized that it was a second place day.
Before we continue with questions, we're also joined by our sixth place finisher, Kyle Larson, driver of the number 42 Credit One Bank Chevrolet. Kyle also won the first stage of this race. Kyle, talk a little bit about that. You came back from a late speeding penalty as well to finish there in the top 10.
Yeah, we had a good car, really good, that first stage and to start that second stage. And then once the track got rubbered in, I had to search around a lot. I couldn't run the bottom as good as the 78 and the 22, and the 77 was really good down there. So, and then late in the race there, once the top got rubbered in, I could get up there really early in a run and go fast, and still not be quite as fast as those guys at the end of the runs, but I was really good the first two-thirds of a run. So yeah, I got that speeding penalty. I was just pushing on pit road and messed up there, and I had to gamble on two tires, and the balance was okay on two, but I just didn't have the speed, I guess the grip that the 48 and the 14 had to run the bottom. I knew I couldn't go down there and get by the four, so I was trying to maybe set them up top, but it was a lot of fun there. The three of us were racing hard for the lead for a few laps, and had some traffic, so I thought the racing was great. The track changed a lot throughout the race, and was extremely exciting. So I don't know what more you could ask out of this place. This is the best track we go to, most exciting place, and I love coming here.
All right, we'll get back to questions. Do you want to go back up front to Joe? And then we'll go to Jerry.
Joe Menzer, FoxSports.com. Clint, how much fun are you having? And did you know you had a car like this all weekend, or was it just something you guys had to work on?
Well, we had good speed, in practice most of the weekend, and to be honest with you, when we took off, I was really struggling for grip, way loose, on that first run, and lost all my track position. I mean, heck, I almost went a lap down there. We just kept working on it. I mean, that's a cool thing about being with a team like this, with an organization like this, having teammates, like I do. I mean, it's just, you can continue to work on it and get it better and better and better. And just like Kyle, I made a mistake on pit road and got caught, speeding, and we was able to capitalize on that even and get ourselves in position to have a shot at winning the race. And that's all a credit to this race team and the organization that I signed on for a long time ago. So yeah, it's a lot of fun. You start getting that close to wins, you know what I mean? You can't let too many of those go by the wayside. You got to use those opportunities and capitalize on those opportunities. But definitely a confidence and momentum builder for sure. Yep.
We'll go to Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, kickingthetires.net, BRN, over here to your left. Clint, what was going through your head? You were fast there at the closing laps. Were you wishing ill will on Jimmie as you were trying to gain on him?
Well, I mean, you never really wish ill will. I mean, you just hope something, you know what I mean? I mean, it was one of those deals where I gained on him a little bit in the first few laps that I got in second, and I was really hard on my stuff, and then you start doing stupid stuff, trying to free it up, putting more rear brake in it and stuff that know's, probably not going to work, but you're just desperate and trying anything you can possibly do. Started getting loose in, and then I just kind of had to protect and ride. So it is frustrating. You can see him out there, but, I mean, damn it. You'd think he'd get tired of winning all these races.
We'll go to Kelly next.
Kelly Crandall, racer.com, one for Kyle and one for Clint. Kyle, did you know you were pushing it on pit road there, and at that point, did you think that the race was over?
Yeah, I knew I was pushing it because, so to start the race, I was the leader. I'd run, all my greens down pit road, and then once I fell back, it was behind the 22 down pit road. He would pull me, and so I started running, an extra light into my one red. He was running a lot more mile per hour around the corner over here, and so yeah, down the straightaway I was running one red and flashed the second red real quick, and I guess that was all she wrote. So yeah, I knew I gave the race away there. I was surprised that I was able to line up with an opportunity there at the end. We lucked out taking 2, and then the 78 sped and it lined us up 4th. So thought maybe if I could get the top going quick and get by Kevin, I could get the win. But I think even if I was able to get to the lead, I don't think I would have won because Jimmie and Clint were way faster than I was, and they were over a straightaway ahead of us, I think, at the checkered flag. So yeah, I disappointed myself. I think I speed on pit road every single time I come to Bristol, so got to clean that up.
And for Clint, is it kind of hard to balance right now where you're excited because you're running well, but you're still pissed because you're not able to break through? Because in Fontana it was almost, you seem to have that same attitude. It's almost bittersweet, I guess, in a way.
It's called racing. It's been that way my whole life since I was about 5 years old. I mean, you struggle and struggle and struggle for a year and a half here, and hell, next thing you know, you're being greedy for about second. You know what I mean? It's just the way racers are wired, and the way it's always been. Having a ton of fun and working hard and seeing the results is gratifying, for this race team. I mean, we need sponsorship on the side of this car other than the boss, and good runs like this and positive momentum and mojo's a good way to do that.
We'll come over here to the left to Tucker and then go to Bob.
Tucker White, SpeedwayMedia.com. Kyle, I noticed a lot of guys who were in the lead, including yourself, were often jumping up to the top line whenever the second guy was getting up too close. What made that work better than just holding them off on the bottom?
It's hard to keep your momentum up on the bottom, and the bottom seems to be faster here for 20 or 25 laps, and then once you get to, it seems like 3 and 4 slows down quicker around the bottom. It slows down quicker than it does in 1 and 2, so you can pop up and run the top there. So yeah, it's just all about timing that right. In that second stage, Joey was really close behind me, and I actually beat him to the top of 3 and 4 and started pulling away a little bit, and then he moved up there, and then the 78 was really good around the bottom. So it's just a awesome racetrack where you have options to move around, and makes the racing really competitive and exciting.
Come over here to Bob.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. Clint, I assume at the end you're just hoping for Jimmie to make a mistake, right? I mean, is that?
Not even. You know better than that. It's
Well,
Jimmie Johnson. You're just, you're starting to, you try everything you possibly can, like I said, and I was starting to do some pretty desperate things with brakes and my line and stuff like that, and then you realize your mindset quickly changes, and you're like, all right, let's put it in perspective here. We come a long ways. It was a long day, and second place is probably a good run for us, and we should be happy with that. We shouldn't hang our head about it.
I mean, I know Johnson has good cars and everything.
Turns out he's pretty good,
well,
too.
I mean, the question is,
Yeah,
does
I don't know that I would take anything away from Jimmie.
Well, does he make fewer mistakes when he's in that position than other guys?
He's just faster. Turns out he's pretty good. I don't know. I don't think it's a matter of making mistakes. I mean, he's just, he's a 7-time champion. I mean, that's all you can say about it.
We'll go to
It's good to
Stan.
know that you're trying to outrun and frustrated with having the best that's probably ever been beat you. I mean, I guess there is something to say about that. He's still a butthole.
We'll go to Stan.
Yeah, Kyle talked about this. Clint, the racing surface itself, how well did it feel to you?
I don't think you really. I mean, I know that everybody wants to see, that Bristol of old and ring around the bottom and us beating and banging and moving cars. And I'm telling you, the workload, the effort that you put into driving that car, you can't drive them any harder than that. I mean, it's a qualifying lap almost every single time. I think they've done a great job of creating that environment. Kyle and I were just talking, it really is an ever-changing racetrack, a lot like a dirt track. And even within runs, not so much just within the day, within a run. You'll start on the bottom, you'll get up there and find something on the outside, and hell, by the end of the run, you might be right back on the bottom and find a better grip and better speed down there. I mean, it's a ton of fun to be able to race like that. And it's extremely challenging, I hope that we can sell that and do a good job of selling that, because if we can, I don't know how else to do it, because I'm telling you, I've been doing this a long time, and that's about as hard as I've ever drove them in my life. I mean, it's a qualifying lap every lap.
All right, Clint and Kyle, thanks for joining us. Good luck next week at Richmond.
Hope I have a ride.
We are going to wrap up our post-race media availabilities for today's Food City 500 at Bristol Motor Speedway with the Monster Energy NASCAR Cup Series. We are now joined by our race winner, Jimmie Johnson, the driver of the number 48 Lowe Chevrolet, who comes in here and wins his 82nd career race. He's one away from Cale Yarborough for 6th all-time on the wins list. Jimmie, why don't you just take us through the end of that race? You had a pretty solid race, doing well in stages 1 and 2 as well.
Yeah, just a really solid performance all day long. Great pit stops. Just very solid. Same thing at Texas. So I think that was the piece we were lacking to start the season. Don't know why, don't know what it was, but our cars have been very capable of running up front, and it's been nice these last 2 weeks to execute. From the start of the race, qualifying was saved by the rain this week, and the week before I spun out after I took the flag. So we're getting closer there, but the race itself, execution's been flawless. Great race cars. I feel like we did a nice job on Saturday. I feel like Chad did a really nice job on Saturday of listening through my frustration and how to get the car a little bit closer. And his open-minded approach, I really think found something that we've been looking for a while here, and made a huge difference today. So just a lot of fun. There was so many competitive passes and so much racing going on over the course of the event. Of course, I was happy to get away at the end and not have to worry about Clint or anybody else behind me, but I think the bulk of the race, they did a nice job with the VHT on the bottom. Second lane finally came in, and a very exciting race.
And we're also joined by our winning crew chief, Chad Knaus. Jimmie referenced it a little bit here, but a pretty strong team effort to get your guys a second in a row. Can you talk about that, Chad?
It was a fantastic weekend. That's an awesome trophy, by the way. Look at that. So it was great. We had a lot of fun. After securing a win last week, it obviously takes a huge load off of your shoulders, and being able to come in here this week, confident, relaxed. We had a weekend off. We really came in knowing that the track was going to be significantly different with the way they applied the traction compound on the bottom of the racetrack. And we knew we were going to be chasing it, so coming in here with a preconceived idea of what it was that we were going to need to have in the race car was really not what we needed to do, and we didn't. We had a very open approach. Jimmie had an open approach. He had to adjust and change some things that he was doing. We had to change the way that we were setting up the race car, and man, Saturday afternoon, it was really nice to see what we had going on. So it was a lot of fun. We had a great time. It was a great weekend. I think, again, hats off to the. It doesn't always work, but man, this place, they do everything they can to try to put on a fantastic show for the fans, and they did it today. It was a fun race to watch and a fun race to take part in.
All right, we'll open up to questions. We'll go up to the press box for our first question, then come back down to the media center to Kelly, and then Bob. All right, we'll start down here with Kelly.
KellyCrandallRacer.com. Jimmie, after the checkered flag, you're screaming on the radio, and you were probably about as excited as I think I've ever heard you. I mean, you were really ecstatic and said some things we can't repeat. But what is it
My wife
after?
won't let my children listen to me either on the radio. So.
What is it after 82 wins that you can still get that excited of continually going to victory lane?
Well, there's two parts to it. One, this is what we work so hard to do, and I truly feel like NASCAR drivers are the best drivers in the world. And anytime you can ring the bell and win one of these shows, you've done something. I mean, you really have. So there's that element, and then the second piece, which led to probably some of the profanity, was this place, personally, to win here and to run that competitive all day means a lot to me. I've loved this racetrack from afar. Made my first laps here in 2000 in a Busch car and was like, where am I? What's going on? How do I get around this racetrack? And it's been a journey since 2000 until now. I know we won here one other time, but I think from a consistency standpoint and competitive standpoint, this is the best we've ever been. And I've been looking and trying to figure this place out. And I've come here with the identical race car that Jeff Gordon wins the race with, and I run 15th. So, that's where a lot of that emotion came from, is more in the personal category today and getting that win.
We'll go to Bob.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. I have two questions. Jimmie, I don't know if you're superstitious at all, but do you feel like you have to go to Mexico for like a day to celebrate this?
We can just do some shots and say we were there. I'm good with that. I came back with a cold that I've been trying to get over, so.
and also, we asked Clint what it was like, kind of waiting.
He had
for,
to cuss a lot.
Yeah. He was kind of waiting.
I think I could hear him cussing for my right front tire to blow out as I was leading those last 5 laps.
Well, he needed your tire to blow out because you probably felt like you wouldn't make a mistake. And I'm curious, in your mindset, when you're out there here, do you feel like you're not going to make a mistake, or is there still any sort of fear that, man, I'm going to make a mistake and it's going to slip away?
There's plenty of fear. I mean, you're on the razor's edge around this track. I kind of got into an interesting rhythm of using the top of 3 and 4 and the bottom of 1 and 2. And I felt like, every time I came off of 2, I'd look in the mirror and I could see where he was, and I'd come off of 4 and I would see. And I fell into a comfortable rhythm when Clint got into second, and then was just hoping I wouldn't see a caution. But you've got to drive at 10 tenths all the time around here to make lap time. It's really an interesting track. You can't, if you lay off and don't drive the car as hard as you need to, the vertical and lateral forces aren't in the car to make it turn. So your handling completely changes if you try to soft foot it around here or soft pedal it. So you've got to stay committed and run the heck out of the car.
We'll go to Jerry.
Jerry Jordan, KickingTheTires.net and PRN. This is for Chad, actually. Chad, we've asked every driver out here about the surface on the track, and while you don't get out there and know what it feels like in the car, how big of a headache is it for you to know how to adjust make the adjustments that you talked about on Saturday to get the car good? And how did you rack your brain to come up with a winning strategy for Jimmie in the race?
Again, I think what helped us the most this weekend is that everybody else was lost. I don't know if that makes sense or not, but you didn't have a standout at our company that was maybe the car that you needed to pay attention to that was really fast. So you kind of look at their notes and look at what it is that they do. We just stepped back. There was a lot of frustration from Jimmie, honestly, after midway through the first practice session.
Track was just constantly changing.
Yeah.
That was the variable to chase.
And we were able to just be like, look, let's just do what conceptually we think is correct. And we threw a lot of the convention away from it that we had done in the past and we had seen in the past work, and just made some things happen. Now, the thing that's difficult is he drives a race car way different than other people do, and what he likes to feel in the race car is significantly different than what a lot of other drivers like to have. So the track surface being the way that it was, I think, is exactly what we needed, because everybody was searching. People were sliding all over the racetrack. They were complaining, and nobody was really in a comfortable state of mind. And that's when I think the 48 team excels, is when there's chaos. I think between Jimmie's experience, his driving ability, and what we can do with the race car, that's when we excel.
We're going to go upstairs to the press box and then come back down to Jim.
Lee Spencer, Motorsport.com. I have two questions for you, Jimmie. First of all, It didn't seem like anybody was afraid to apply the bumper today. What do you think that was about? I mean, is that just sitting around for 48 hours, or was it because the way the track was, that was pretty much your best strategy?
I think it's Bristol. And I think the track intentionally tried to create the need to be on the bottom and in the bump and run that we've seen for so many years in the past here. And you have such a small window to make something happen on the short run, and if somebody's blocking you or holding you up, you're just going to lean on the guy and get him out of the way. So there was some pushing and shoving going on, but I'm glad that we're all comfortable doing it. I don't know if there was any altercations after, but we need to be able to lean on each other and push each other around out there.
And for a kid who went into Hardee's looking for his childhood racing hero, Cale Yarborough, what does it mean now to be catching his record?
It's mind-blowing. I cannot believe that we're sitting here with 82 wins. That is such a big number. And to be 7 or 8 years old, whatever I was, traveling across the country racing dirt bikes and walking into my first Hardee's, and I thought it was a race shop for Cale Yarborough, and then I realized it was a hamburger stand. There's no way I didn't even really pay attention to NASCAR. I had no idea what it was. All my heroes were on two wheels. So to be in this position is quite an honor. But I honestly wouldn't be in this position if it wasn't for Chad Knaus and Rick Hendrick, Jeff Gordon, Lowe's, all the consistent things that I've had through my career. This has really been the environment for me to thrive in. And I don't know how many different teams Cale drove for. Earnhardt drove for a couple, but I think Cale moved around some. DW's just ahead of us, and I know he moved around. There's different environments that work for different people. And for myself, this has been, I think, really the only environment for me to succeed like this.
We'll go to Jim and then back to Kelly.
JimMotorsport.com, kind of a follow-up about the track. There's a lot of people talking about how great the racing was, particularly in the third stage today. Is that, in your opinion, due in part because of the track changing so much? And while it might not be a good thing for Chad or you that the track changes a lot, do you think it's a good thing for the sport, just to create what it created?
Yeah, and I'll try to not be too long-winded, but when there's all these consistent things that take place, this garage is too good. Like, we're all going to figure it out in a couple practice sessions and run nose to tail, very close on speed and single file. So to have changing elements, I think, gives us an opportunity to pass. You have comers and goers, you have people figuring it out, people making mistakes, somebody needs an adjustment to get there, and it creates movement in the pack. This race, without a doubt, would have been single file around the top if the VHT wasn't on the bottom. So that is a huge help to create multiple lanes of racing. So roll those two things together. I think we all joke about the more practice, the closer the field gets. I know we do inside, the transporters. Seems like the less practice we have puts on some of the better races. To have ever-evolving track conditions all weekend long, nobody could nail the setup and then roll in here on past notes. So I think those variables really produce better racing for us.
We'll go to Kelly, Dustin, and then Kenny.
KellyCrandallRacer.com again. Jimmie, I've asked you, and a few people have asked you before about reaching that 100 win mark, and we're sitting here now talking about 82, and you have been adamant that you will not break, or nobody will break the 100 win mark, and I'm just curious why you think that.
I just, from watching Gordon in, 93, 95? What's Jeff at? A whole bunch. He had a 13-win season one year. It just seems so far out there that I don't think that the 100's achievable. I hope I'm wrong. I really do. I would love to clearly do that. But again, I've always felt that that's just such a big number. And with as competitive as our sport is, the new twist with stage racing and what it's done to our series, that's going to be a hard number to get to.
Where are we at now? Excuse me, I wasn't expecting that question. Yeah, I think we can win every race. Now, the likelihood of us winning every race is pretty slim, but in all actuality, the ability to go out there and win every single race is there. So I think that, yeah. I mean, I don't see why not. Why not 150, right? Honestly, there's no, from what I've seen out of this team and what I've seen out of the ability of Hendrick Motorsports and Jimmie, I don't think there's really too much that can't be reached.
Dustin Long, NBC Sports. Jimmie, based on what you were just saying earlier about the track conditions, is this, maybe not this exact thing, is this the type of thing that the sport needs to look at doing for some other tracks, some of the other shorter tracks, or even all tracks? But how can you take what happened here and transfer it to other tracks, or is this just too unique?
No, I think we can transfer it to other tracks, and I think it's difficult for all the stakeholders to really understand where things are at. And I feel like with the forming of the RTA, the different councils that exist, that we're all at a point now where there's open conversation, and the open conversation led to trying the VHT, and now we've seen a second race with it. I feel like the competition side, inside the garage area, we've had a very competitive product for a lot of years, and the rules continue to change, and it doesn't make that big of a difference. I don't think there's as much to change inside the garage area, and when you sit behind the wheel in one of these cars, we're driving our butts off. And really racing hard. I think that multiple lanes at these tracks are something we really need to look at. And you've probably heard rumblings over the years of drivers mentioning that. We've been very focused on tire fall off. And that's just a tough thing to achieve with how heavy our cars are and the surfaces we run on. But I think we're stumbling onto something here with intentionally creating other lanes of racing that put on a great show. And I don't know how we incorporate it into bigger tracks. I hope we start experimenting soon, because there's no way we'll try it in the chase. But I feel like we can start looking at other tracks, and I don't know if you make the painted lines, little grip strips around the track. I don't know what it would be. But just adding something for us to have a reason to leave the preferred line to go racing.
Or with the softer tire that's obviously going to try the All-Stars, is that another option in moving in that type of direction? How important that could be?
It definitely could be. And I don't think we would have ever ended up with an option tire if the councils and RTA and all this collaboration didn't start 2 years ago. So I think, you know, the distance we've covered in a couple years, I don't know exactly the timeline. In a few more years, we're all building trust and faith in one another and understanding how this stuff plays out. We're going to hit on some stuff that's going to work really well, between maybe stuff that's on the track or option tires. We're getting close to creating the right racing environment. Yep.
We'll go to Kenny, Christian, and then Bob.
Kenny Bruce with NASCAR.com. For Chad, when you talked earlier about coming up with a game plan and a strategy, some changes you guys were thinking through on Saturday. When you look at stuff like that, how much thought do you have to give to, okay, Jimmie likes this or doesn't like this, or he runs well with this type of package, and how much does what he do behind the wheel impact what you guys can do to the car?
It's it's huge. The driver inputs in these race cars are the box that we operate in now is so tight and narrow that the inputs that the drivers use are what change the pitch, the heave, the roll, the longitudinal, lateral movement of the race car. So what they do is really key. And Jimmie uses all of his tools very, very well. He drives with feel. He's not a guy that says, okay, this is the fastest line, and that's the way I'm going to get around the racetrack. I've tried for years to get him to drive like that. He won't do it. He's a driver that wants to adjust, manipulate the car with his inputs, and that's great. That's what makes him such a fantastic driver. So paying attention to what he says is a very, very important part of getting the most out of your race car. So again, that's why coming in here this weekend with an open mind, even though frustration did come in a little bit, that's what allowed us to get the car as good as what it was today. And I think our car was great. I saw him be able to do some things with the race car that we haven't been able to do with our cars here in the past. Not just that it was fast, but the way he was able to drive it. And all that was a direct result of what he was giving us for input.
One other thing, when you look at today's race, what was the one thing that made the difference that allowed you guys to win today's race?
You know, there were so many contributing factors. We had a fast race car. The car was solid. Jimmie did a great job. Our pit crew, I think, today really helped us a lot. We were able to gain positions, maintain positions on pit road, get us into spots to where we were able to actually restart up towards the front. And I think we saw the comers and goers really happen on restarts the most. So not that we always had the preferred line on a restart, but at least we were close enough to the front that when something bad happened, we didn't fall back. So the pit crew kept us in the game and allowed Jimmie to do what it was that he needed to do on the track. So I think that was one of the big factors of where we were today.
We'll come to the far left to Christian, and then we'll wrap up with Bob.
Christian Coley on the pit road, on pitroad.com. Jimmie, and this is a question for both of you. When the 88's engine expired early in the race, was there any cause for concern that you had engine issues or your teammates would have engine issues also?
So I knew the caution came out, and I knew there was a lot of oil down. It was a handful of laps before Chad mentioned that it was the 88. And then, you know, what the question is, where your question is coming from, like, whole thought process started in my mind, and then I just didn't want to ask, so I didn't ask. And he didn't give me any more information or anything to worry about, so I was just hoping it was bad racing luck on their behalf, or maybe some contact, or I was under the impression maybe the oil cooler had a problem, so instead of just an engine failure.
Yeah, I don't know that I haven't confirmed that it wasn't an engine failure. Maybe our people can tell us. Yeah, I don't know that was the case, so I'd be cautious putting that out there until we know for sure.
Bob Hawkers, ESPN. I have two more for Jimmie. Chad was talking about how maybe everybody being in a panic or not knowing what was going to happen kind of helped you guys. I'm curious, did you feel that way too, or when you come to a track where you've won once in 30 starts, are you like, it's not going to help them?
Honestly, I was in a panic, and Chad did a great job of coaching me up, and seeing through some of my animated descriptions and my frustration, and really controlled the group. It didn't let my emotions affect his thought process, and he did a great job to calm me down and say, look, you know, it's changing, this is the situation, let's just keep working on it, we'll get it. And you know, he really, from an emotional standpoint and kind of mindset standpoint, kept the wheels on the train.
And
I guess the train on the tracks. What the heck, wheels on the train? Talking like Kurt Busch, making up stuff.
I hope that's not the heat getting to you.
No, I'm feel good. Could be half that beer, but.
Did you ever forget what happened to your drink system last in Texas, and did anything need fixing, and did it work today?
Yeah, it worked great all day. The line came off the pump, so I could see some fluid splashing around inside the car when I'd hit the button, but I knew none was getting up to my bite valve in the helmet. And unfortunately, the line just came off due to the heat. So hot in the car that in the soft tubing, it just came off. They made about 7 or 8 changes to make sure that never happens again.
All right, gentlemen, congratulations on the win today. Good luck in Richmond.
Thank you.